The rain pounded against the pavement as Daniel Carter, the billionaire CEO of Carter Logistics, adjusted the worn-out baseball cap on his head. He glanced down at the old delivery uniform he had put on, faded blue with grease stains, and then back at the large corporate building in front of him. His building, his company. And yet, today, no one would recognize him. With a deep breath, he clutched a brown delivery box, stepped inside the gleaming lobby, and walked toward the front desk. The receptionist, a young woman with tired eyes, barely looked up before mumbling, "Take it to the back, and be quick about it." Daniel nodded but remained silent. He wasn't here for her. He was here for Martin Grayson, the branch manager known for treating employees like garbage. The complaints had piled up, but every time Daniel visited in his usual suit and tie, Martin turned into the perfect employee. That's why Daniel was here undercover today, to see the truth for himself. As he made his way through the hallway, a sharp voice cut through the air. "Hey, you, delivery boy! What the hell do you think you're doing walking in here like that?" Daniel turned. A tall man in a crisp suit stormed toward him, his face twisted in irritation. "Martin." I have a package for the office," Daniel said, deliberately keeping his voice low and unassuming. Martin scoffed. "And? You think you can just waltz through my building like you own the damn place? Use the back entrance, moron." Daniel gritted his teeth. This was exactly what he had suspected. But Martin wasn't done. "Idiots like you don't belong in a place like this. Get lost before I call security." Daniel's grip tightened on the package. He had seen enough. Daniel took a deep breath, forcing himself to stay calm. This was exactly why he had come undercover. He wanted to see how employees were really treated when they weren't sucking up to the CEO. "I just need to deliver this package," he said, keeping his voice even. Martin rolled his eyes. "Are you deaf?" I said. "Use the back entrance. You delivery guys always think you're so important. You're not. You're just some nobody with a cardboard box." Daniel clenched his jaw, but before he could respond, a woman in a nearby cubicle quickly stood up. Her name tag read, "Samantha," and she looked uneasy. "Sir, I can take the package for him," she started. Martin cut her off with a glare. "Did I ask for your opinion, Samantha? Do your job and stay out of this." Samantha immediately shrank back into her chair, her face red with embarrassment. Daniel's fingers curled around the package. He had read reports about Martin's behavior, but seeing it firsthand made his blood boil. This wasn't just rudeness. This was pure arrogance and cruelty. Martin stepped closer, his voice dripping with condescension. "You're lucky I don't have you thrown out. Now, drop the box and get out before I make sure you never work a day in this city again." Daniel tilted his head slightly, studying the man. "Is that so?" he asked, his voice now calm and controlled. Martin smirked. "Yeah, that's so." Daniel exhaled slowly, shaking his head. "Well, that's going to be a problem." Martin crossed his arms. "Oh yeah? And why is that?" Daniel took off his cap. Silence. Martin's smirk wavered as he got a good look at the delivery guy. There was something familiar about him. Too familiar. Then the realization hit. The blood drained from Martin's face. Daniel Carter, the CEO of Carter Logistics, stood before him, no longer the meek delivery guy, but the powerful billionaire he had just humiliated. Martin took an instinctive step back. "Wait. No, this is some kind of joke, right?" Daniel narrowed his eyes. "Do I look like I'm joking?" Martin's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. His face turned pale as the weight of the situation sank in. "Mr. Carter, I didn't know," he stammered, his confidence now crumbling. Daniel folded his arms. "That much is obvious." His voice was calm, but there was an edge to it. one that made the entire office go dead silent. Employees peered over their cubicles, whispering amongst themselves. Samantha, the woman Martin had just snapped at, covered her mouth in shock. Martin straightened his tie, trying to regain some of his composure. "Sir, I apologize for any misunderstanding. I thought you were just..." Daniel raised a brow. "Just a delivery guy? Just someone beneath you? Someone you could belittle without consequence?" Martin's throat bobbed as he swallowed hard. "No, I didn't mean it like that. It was just a long day, and I was stressed." Daniel cut him off. "Save it. This isn't just about today. I've been hearing complaints about your behavior for months. And now I've seen it firsthand." A nervous sweat broke out on Martin's forehead. "Sir, please, give me a chance to explain." Daniel leaned in slightly, his piercing gaze locked on Martin. "Tell me, Martin, how many chances did you give the employees you've humiliated? How many apologies did you accept from the people you belittled?" Martin had no answer. He was cornered, and he knew it. "That's what I thought," Daniel said coldly. The office was so quiet that you could hear a pin drop. The entire staff held their breath, waiting for the inevitable. Then, Daniel spoke the words that sealed Martin's fate. "You're fired." Martin's knees nearly buckled. His lips trembled as he processed what Daniel had just said. "But please, Mr. Carter, this job. I need this job," he pleaded, his arrogance completely shattered. Daniel's gaze remained firm. "You should have thought about that before mistreating people. This company was built on respect, and you clearly don't belong here." A murmur spread across the office. Some employees exchanged satisfied glances, while others gasped in disbelief. Martin's breathing became shallow as he turned to the other staff members, desperately searching for sympathy. "You all know me. I was just under pressure. You've all had bad days." Samantha, the woman he had berated earlier, stepped forward. Her expression was unreadable, but her voice was steady. "We've all had bad days, Martin, but not all of us take it out on people." A heavy silence followed. Daniel sighed and shook his head. "Security will escort you out. You'll receive severance, but as of this moment, you're no longer employed here." At that moment, 2 security guards approached Martin. His face turned red with humiliation as they took position beside him. "You can't do this," he snapped, his tone filled with desperation. "I've been here for years." Daniel didn't flinch. "And in those years, you made others feel small. Now, you're feeling what they felt." Martin had no choice but to walk toward the exit. His steps were heavy, his pride crushed under the weight of his own actions. Employees discreetly watched as he disappeared through the doors. Once he was gone, a collective breath of relief swept through the office. Daniel turned back to the employees, his expression softened. "I want each and every one of you to know that you matter. No one should ever feel disrespected in their workplace." The room erupted in quiet applause. Samantha smiled, clearly grateful. One employee, a young intern, nervously raised her hand. "Sir, does this mean you really were a delivery guy?" Daniel chuckled. "Numbered, but it does mean that I see everyone in this company as equal. No one is too big or too small to be treated with kindness." The lesson had been learned, and it was a day no one in that office would ever forget. With Martin gone, a strange calm settled over the office. Employees exchanged glances, still trying to process what had just happened. For years, they had endured his sharp tongue and demeaning remarks. His sudden departure felt surreal. Daniel took a deep breath and clapped his hands together. Now that that's over, let's talk about the future. Everyone straightened, unsure of what was coming next. "I want to hear from all of you," Daniel continued. "What changes do you think would make this a better workplace? What do you need to feel respected and valued? Murmurs spread through the room. Employees were stunned. They had never been asked this before, especially not by someone as high up as the CEO. Samantha was the first to speak. Honestly, sir, we just want to work in an environment where we don't feel afraid. Martin made a lot of us miserable. Others nodded in agreement. A young man near the back hesitantly added, "It wasn't just him." There's a culture of fear here. A lot of managers think treating people badly is how you get results. Daniel's expression darkened. This was worse than he thought. "Well," he said firmly, "that changes today." He turned to the HR manager. "Effective immediately, I want a full review of management practices. If there are other leaders who mistreat employees, I want to know about it." The HR manager, a middle-aged woman named Linda, gave a quick nod. "Absolutely, Mr. Carter. We'll get on it right away." Daniel then turned back to the employees. "If any of you have experienced unfair treatment, my door is open. No more fear. No more toxicity." A wave of relief spread through the room. Employees smiled at one another, realizing that things were truly going to change. As the employees slowly returned to their work, Daniel made his way back to the lobby. He still had one more thing to take care of. Samantha followed behind him. "Sir, can I ask something?" Daniel stopped and turned. "Of course." She hesitated before speaking. "You could have handled this situation in any way you wanted. Why did you choose to go undercover as a delivery guy?" Daniel smiled. "Because you learn the truth when people think you're a nobody." Samantha nodded, impressed by his wisdom. Just then, the door to the lobby opened, and an older man walked in, holding a package. He wore a delivery uniform, the same kind Daniel had borrowed earlier. The man looked confused as he saw Daniel standing there. "Hey, kid, what are you doing wearing my uniform?" The employees gasped. "Kid?" Daniel turned and grinned. "Tom, you weren't supposed to be back for another hour." Tom frowned and looked Daniel up and down. "Wait a minute. You're not a new hire, are you?" Samantha covered her mouth in shock. The employees behind them exchanged surprised glances. Daniel smirked. "No, Tom. I'm Daniel Carter, the CEO." Tom nearly dropped his package. "What? You mean to tell me I just let the CEO borrow my uniform?" Laughter filled the room. Daniel clapped Tom on the shoulder. "You did. And because of that, we got rid of a toxic manager today." Tom shook his head in disbelief. "Well, I'll be damned." Daniel reached into his pocket and pulled out a card. "Tom, how long have you been doing deliveries?" Tom scratched his head. 30 years, give or take." Daniel handed him the card. "How would you feel about running the entire logistics department? We could use someone who knows the business inside and out." Tom's eyes widened. "You're offering me a management job, just like that?" Daniel grinned. "You earned it." The employees clapped as Tom, still stunned, shook Daniel's hand. Word spread quickly about what had happened that day. Employees talked about it for weeks, and soon, other managers at the company began changing their behavior. No one wanted to end up like Martin. As for Daniel, he made it a point to go undercover at least once a year, to see his company through the eyes of his workers. And every time he did, he was reminded of one simple truth. How you treat people when you think they're beneath you says everything about who you really are.